And due to various injuries, Zion has missed more games than he's played in.
I'll be honest with you guys. I did not think we would transition this quickly into talking about Zion Williamson after talking about Ben Simmons and James Harden for damn near a month.
Have you had a chance to talk to Zion about anything?
I wish I could sit here today and tell you that I predicted this, but I really didn't. And I don't think anyone predicted CJ McCollum saying this in response.
We're looking forward to getting him back. I haven't had conversations with him directly. I've spoken to some people close to him.
Is Zion crazy? I mean, is that something that's normal in the NBA?
Like, this just shows a complete lack of investment in your team, in the organization, in the city.
Okay, this is a pretty serious story considering that JJ Redick is responding this way.
This is a pattern of behavior with Zion that we are seeing again and again. And look, I was his teammate. I can describe him as a detached teammate. That is an accurate statement.
But then the story came at a point where, okay, I just knew I had to talk about this.
So going forward, it appears the team is done marketing the 21-year-old All-Star. The Pelicans sent an email to season ticket holders about renewals.
Guess who wasn't in the email? Whose name was not in the email? Zion's.
I never thought I'd say this, but if Zion Williamson ends up leaving New Orleans, I think he's going to become the biggest villain in the NBA. And I have to bring you guys back to how this all began.
Can Zion live up to the LeBron hype?
Yes, he can.
Because so much of what is going on today has a lot to do with how things started out for Zion Williamson and the New Orleans Pelicans. The draft lottery ended in a very surprising outcome to where the Pelicans got the first pick for that draft. And there were already stories coming out that Zion Williamson wasn't happy with this outcome. He wanted to go to New York, apparently.
I'm going to be honest with you, watching him when they said, you know, with the first pick, the New Orleans Pelicans, I don't know if he was exactly happy.
Yeah, I mean, to me, he kind of looked like he'd been hit by a truck. And I understand it. When he woke up this morning, New Orleans was not what he was thinking.
It was obvious to anyone watching at the time that the media did not want Zion to be in New Orleans.
If I'm Zion Williamson, I do not go to New Orleans. I have not been drafted yet. I can take my name out of the draft.
Now, one interesting hire the Pelicans made was David Griffin, and he had some very interesting things to say when the whole Anthony Davis kerfuffle was happening.
You are either all the way in or you are all the way out, and there is no in between.
It was very clear that at the onset, Griffin wanted nothing more but for every party involved to be committed to playing for New Orleans. And I think these comments from Colin are eerie considering the things that are happening today.
I would call the Pelicans and say, I'm taking my name out of the draft. So trade me. But if I'm Zion this morning, I've seen what 7 years looks like. It's not good. I'm not doing it.
So Zion gets drafted #1 as we expected. And it was very emotional at the onset. You could tell he was very happy and he was very overwhelmed with emotions when it happened. There was just so much going on in his mind.
You've been waiting for this moment since you were 5. How would you describe being the #1 overall pick in this draft?
I mean, I don't know what to say. I didn't think I'd be in this position.
So here we have a humble kid that's just so grateful to be in this position. And at this point, there was nothing that told me that Zion wasn't happy to be in New Orleans.
Robinson tapped it out to Knox. Zion rips it, punches it home. Oh yeah, it's time to get in the gym.
Already in his Summer League debut, Zion was giving us ferocious slams, and it was a joy to watch. Unfortunately though, injuries and other things would begin to shake up Zion Williamson's rookie year.
Getting news that Zion Williamson left knee, took knee-to-knee contact, and will not return.
Folks, we're experiencing an earthquake right now.
Whoa, yes we are.
Can you feel the earth below you?
Yes, I can.
The score clock is shifting ever so slightly.
What a poetic way to start off Zion's rookie campaign. I mean, this was going to be his only Summer League appearance. He would also have to heal his injuries as he would miss the rest of his Summer League with a bruised knee. This was getting hectic. People were anxious to see Zion Williamson finally play his first NBA game. I mean, people were just loving him in New Orleans, and you could tell Zion was loving it too.
The family feel that I just got from just walking around, like,
that was what he took away from his time in New Orleans, and you could tell he was excited to play for them at this point. And boy, did he make a splash.
Again, he knows his lane, and he does a good job. Oh!
And Zion just probables his way right to the hole.
But this was a preseason game, and people were still doubting whether or not he would be healthy to play during the regular season. And this was the point where a lot of people were starting to look at Zion Williamson's walking pattern, his gait and everything, and just started noticing some weird things about the way he walked. And I was one of those people that was noticing this, and I was proven right when they said Zion Williamson would have to get surgery on his knee. Wait, 6 to 8 weeks? Okay, now Zion's doing well, and we can finally watch him put on a show.
The game, we might see some zone. Here is Zion stepping back, pulling the trigger, and hitting a three!
Man, I remember watching this live. This was just so fun to watch.
Here's a lob to Zion, and he finishes over DeRozan.
I mean, he kept hitting three-pointers, and it was at this point that we knew Zion, man, he was going to be a star in the making in this league. I remember some of my friends hyping this man up so much. They said he was going to be on the caliber of the Lebrons and the Jordans. Zion Williamson was having issues, though, in his personal life. So when the bubble happened, he had only played 19 games and had left the bubble to go take care of medical issues in his family. Now, the next season, Zion would have a fantastic year, averaging over 25 points a game, and he will just have so much, and I mean so much highlights. I mean, this guy is a highlight reel in himself. I mean, whoo, the dunks he was making and just the plays he was getting for his team. I mean, he made it to the All-Star game during his sophomore year. I mean, that's how good this guy was. He was an All-Star in his sophomore year. Not many people can say they were playing in the All-Star game in their second year. I don't even think LeBron could say that. So, to those saying Zion Williamson was never a star to begin with, I mean, you guys just haven't been watching basketball. And unfortunately, it's the injuries that have been holding him back. And this one, where he fractured his finger, the Pelicans are blaming it on the officials. And I get it, man. When you're not calling these fouls, I mean, things can get out of control, and unfortunately, Zion had to pay for it. And now he's reportedly unhappy with the Pelicans. Some of his family members want Williamson to go on another team. I mean, some of his frustrations with the coach. Another one talking about them trading JJ Redick. At this point, is Zion going to suit up for the Pelicans next season?
Do you expect to be able to be back for the start of the regular season?
Yes, sir. I expect to be back for the first game.
Okay, phew, that was a close one. I thought Zion Williamson was going to ask out. Now, things aren't so rainbow and sunshines in New Orleans. I mean, apparently, there was a rumor going around that David Griffin was trying to play the piano so that Zion could stay in the bubble. It was getting weird, man. Zion had the best responses of all time, I have to say.
Come on now, guys. I'm not letting a grown man come to my hotel room and play a piano for me.
At this point, most people had a favorable view of Zion Williamson, and it would be at this point as well that things would begin to crack for Zion. Now, a lot of people started noticing his practices and seeing his weight gain and, speculating on whether or not he was even interested or committed to playing for this team.
Chuck, you had a visceral reaction to this.
It looked like me and Shaq had a baby. What do you look like, Chuck? Like me and you had a baby. God. What do you look like, Chuck? It's like, ooh, Shaq, we had a baby over the summer.
Oh boy, this is getting worrying, folks. Zion Williamson's return to the Pelicans is going to be delayed over soreness in his foot that was surgically repaired recently. Oh, this is getting really worrying. I mean, Zion, his injury history has not looked so good. I mean, he's been out and out and out. I mean, this guy needs to get back to playing basketball at some point. Oh, he's going to miss more time. And this time they're going to put an injection on his foot. I mean, is that going to do anything? A lot of people were posting this picture, which I think has been photoshopped to make him look fatter. It doesn't matter though. This was just making the rounds on social media, and people were starting to hate on this guy, and it was perfectly understandable why. I mean, Zion was beginning to be more and more distant from the team, and the situation with CJ, it just set off a lot of red flags, and people knew there was something fishy going on, and the reports that we seen earlier in 2019 may have been spot on.
Yeah, I think, Kevin, you can just say that they're distant, both literally and figuratively.
I know many people love to compare Zion to Ja, especially now that Ja is having a great year this season. And I will tell you this, Zion never showed the same amount of love to New Orleans that Ja showed to Memphis. It was something that we always had in the back of our mind that, Zion, he wasn't that big of a fan of New Orleans. And now the organization, well, they're just as confused as we are.
So Zion continues to progress well, anecdotally at least.
It's really telling that right after CJ made those comments and right after the media took the story and ran with it, Zion Williamson apparently called CJ and they had a conversation. That is very fishy, man. It really is. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good at all. And I was thinking, is Zion potentially going to become the biggest villain in the NBA? I mean, even bigger than guys like Kawhi Leonard and Ben Simmons. I mean, I'll just explain to you why I think this may be the case. Like Zion, Kawhi was going through injuries as well.
Him saying the people around Kawhi are the problem. But how bad does Kawhi look here, being that he is apparently medically cleared by the Spurs, and he's not even on the bench with his teammates?
What part of Kawhi Leonard's behavior in the last year and every story that's come out in the last several weeks says anything about this dude having any of the qualities that a leader is supposed to have?
He is not coming back. This is, of course, talking about Kawhi Leonard. For me, he is not coming back because think he is not helping.
Tony Parker also took jabs at Kawhi. I mean, these comments were even worse than what Ginobili said. He said apparently he's been through it. He had the same injuries. He rehabbed for 8 months, and his injury was much worse, 100 times worse.
Isn't this the most un-Spurs-like story that we've ever seen from start to finish?
It is. It speaks
the way
to
the
a
whole thing was handled.
that people like us who've covered this league for a long time never associate with the Spurs.
We fell for it a week ago. Again, I guess you guys, the media, made us fall for it. But we have to think that he is not coming back.
You don't talk, you don't defend yourself. Now you got stories coming out that you're coming off as an obnoxious diva.
It looks pretty bad, I think, because you talk to go out there no matter.
The thing is, though, when Kawhi got traded to the Raptors, although there were people not liking him, a lot of people also looked to San Antonio and blamed them because of the way they handled Kawhi's injury. And obviously, if you know what happened in Toronto with Kawhi Leonard, you know that things didn't age well for San Antonio.
How do you think the Spurs look with Kawhi in the finals?
I think they look very bad today.
I think this right here, when I look back at this era of the NBA of super teams, big threes, this right here is one of the single greatest runs by an individual that I've seen in a very long time.
I'm so over this dude. The city of San Antonio is over this dude. You can go as soon as they get whatever they want for you.
And I would compare this to Dirk Nowitzki because he only had one other All-Star on his team. If you look at the champions within...
So not only does he have a championship under his belt now, but he's also vindicated of a lot of the things he and his party was claiming. Even though he didn't say anything, the Spurs looked very bad, and especially with the comments from Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili, it was the first time the Spurs were looked at in a bad light, and I'm not sure if they've recovered from it still. And much like Kawhi, Ben Simmons' case is also a case of you could look at both organizations and say, well, both parties should have done better, and somebody is lying, but we're not sure who.
It's Ben Simmons. He has to go. You got to get rid of him. I'm not saying trade him for 20 cents on the dollar or even 40 cents on the dollar, but you got to get rid of him. We move on from there. And by the way, he didn't help his case because he wasn't on the bench, couldn't be found in Philadelphia. The second he got traded, he was on the bench with the Brooklyn Nets the next game, chilling, smiling, having a blast.
Everything's different.
Everything's
great. Happy now.
Everything's great now. And that's not to say that Ben Simmons himself is not going through that. But if you listen to teammates, if you listen to people in the city, if you listen to people who cover the NBA, very few people believe him.
For all we know, Ben Simmons could win a title this season and get vindicated on everything he says. But we're not at that point yet, and clearly there are a lot of people that still have a bad view of Ben Simmons and what he's done.
Will we shake hands to start? Probably not. First, I'd be highly surprised if he even plays in that game. I don't know where his health is mentally, physically, and we all know that he does not like to play in Philly.
It's not that they're looking at Ben Simmons and saying Ben Simmons has a problem and we don't care. They don't believe he has a problem. They believe all of this was manufactured because he can't take the heat from Philadelphia.
But say that does happen. I see it as being a very hectic, playoff-like atmosphere environment to where it may be very rough for him.
It's going to be a nightmare for Ben Simmons if Ben Simmons comes there on March 10th.
The reason why I think Zion Williamson is going to be an even bigger villain than Simmons if he were to leave New Orleans is because, well, Simmons claims to have mental issues, and for that reason, a lot of people forgive his actions and say, well, you know, he needs his time to recover. So even though he's a #1 pick like Zion was, he has the benefit of the doubt, and that's something Zion will not have if he chooses to leave.
If Zion decides to turn down that rookie extension and go to a big market team, the NBA is going to have to change some things, and it's going how dramatic do you want me to be? It's going to cause an NBA lockout. Shit, I said it. It might cause an NBA lockout, because how is a small market team supposed to build like this?
When this email came out and people were starting to talk about it, I looked into it. Obviously, there's not much to look into, but yeah, this is really bad. This is a sign that the Pelicans are aware of the situation. They know that, you know, perhaps Zion is not going to be part of this team in the near future. And this is where we get into potentially, man. I mean, Kenny said it, man. This may well result in a lockout season. I mean, the NBA is going to have to crack down on this. If Zion, a first pick, I mean, he's only been in New Orleans for what, 3 years now? And I'm telling you this right now, this will delegitimize the entire draft process. Everyone and their mothers are going to talk about this as the last straw, right? We've seen established stars like Jimmy Butler ask out of a team. James Harden did it twice. And then Anthony Davis, I mean, he did it to the Pelicans. And now if Zion does it again to the same team, that's going to be insane. And he's still in his rookie contract. It's one thing to advocate for player empowerment, but it's another to endorse this debauchery. And man, some people I know are going to point to David Griffin and the Pelicans organization for how they let Lonzo walk, how they traded away guys like JJ Redick, and how they hired a coach like Stan Van Gundy to run this team. These weren't great moves, of course, I agree. But look at what the Pelicans have been doing over the last year, okay, to try to make this team better around Zion. Look at the acquisition of Jonas Valanciunas, man. Them drafting Herbert Jones, I mean, this team has a legit core with Brandon Ingram, Jonas Valanciunas, Herbert Jones. And then they bring in CJ McCollum via trade, and the culture that's being built in New Orleans, led by head coach Willie Green. I mean, you go to anybody that's familiar with the Pelicans, everybody that talks about the Pelicans will tell you that Willie Green has had a tremendous impact on the players he's coached, on the team that he's coached. And obviously, you've seen it with guys like Josh Hart and Nickeil Alexander-Walker watching the games after they got traded. They're still there watching the games as though nothing was done of harm. I have personally never seen anything like that in my life, man. Maybe it's happened in the past, but I just did not see it. This, to me, is just, it says a lot about the type of guy this coach is, man. I'm telling you right now, Zion better not do what many people think he's going to do, because it's going to be an absolute bloodbath. You guys see what the shirt says? That's all, folks. Well, that's all I have to say for this video, man. Go check out a video that I did on Jokic. It's doing very well. I'm very proud of how it's performing. And I've seen the comments. You guys want me to get a better mic? Well, I got it. And boy, does this sound sexy.